Certified Artist and Business Coach, and you're listening to Terry Talks, where we discuss all things taboo, uncovering art industry nonsense, grounding you in confidence and leadership to run an arts business with unwavering power and grit. Hello, what's up? How are you? I have not recorded an episode in quite a while, but we are gearing up for another month of some interviews. We're gearing up for some solo episodes, and as always, taboo topics, things that coaches or even anyone in the art industry may not feel comfortable talking about. I definitely do. So today's topic is going to be an interesting one because it's a post that I saw that stated artists should never work for free. And I have a couple of different ideas and thoughts and perspectives on this that I want to share, because oftentimes we can put out blanket statements like that, or a jarring statement, especially on social media when we want to catch people's, attention, and we want to cause a little chaos, which inevitably gets people's attention, whether it's a controversial topic or just I hate Coca-Cola, whatever it is. It's always a juicy hook, and I'm always someone who cannot bite my tongue. So I did do a story on it. I did a part 1 and a part 2 reel on it, and I shared just a little bit, just enough to give you guys an idea of where I fell in terms of how I felt about it. It definitely caused a reaction, and the only comment that I made was, I can't wait to make a podcast episode on how I feel about the fact that this post has stated artists should not do anything for free. Before we get into it, a couple of things. I've been kind of on a summer hiatus, to be honest. I don't really care what season it is. Yes, different things affect different people, right? 100% suffer from seasonal depression when it's dark, when it's cold, but I also really like it dark and cold in my apartment. So, kind of a catch-22. Summer is often a time for us to just frolic in the sun and to be with friends and family and vacation and all that stuff. But when you're a freelancer, it's kind of a free-for-all in terms of when you take vacation, because you can kind of do it whenever the fuck you want to do it, within reason. But when business is slow and the freelance life doesn't necessarily stop, and you can't just get up and flee the country when things get rough. So I've had a really slow summer, and I've kind of retreated, which I would never actually tell a client to do that. I would want them to fucking muster up the strength and push through, but I'm always someone who pushes through. So I'm working through some things. I think I'm having a bit of growing pains. My legs are growing, my arms are growing at different lengths, and I'm having that angst in my body. If you remember what it's like to be a teenager, you were moody, you were annoyed, you were mad at your parents, you were just had an attitude all the time. So that's kind of this imbalance of what I'm going through mentally. But this is a great outlet for me, and I want to dive into this episode. So I think the first thing I want to say is definitely going to be probably the most controversial part of this discussion that I'm having with myself and with all of you. The culture around artists doing things for free did not come from nowhere. The culture of artists doing things at a barter or at a lower cost, or someone who has, let's just say, quote unquote, the audacity to bargain with us, did not just come from nowhere. And it's really easy for people to want to place the blame on everyone else: society, the economy, the politics, the rich, the poor, different racial groups. I mean, it's so easy to point the finger. And I'm not just talking about artists, but there is also a culture of boo-hoo. I'm an artist. I'm starving for attention. I'm starving for money. I can't get this. I can't get that. And I am, don't know how to do this. And woe is me. And I've been spending the last couple of years, probably the last 3 years, really thinking about that question, where those things come from. Because when we are faced with a pattern of behavior and the way that other people are perceiving a large group of people, such as the artist community, we have to take radical responsibility for what we have put forth into the universe that has allowed this type of treatment to happen. And oftentimes people aren't even asking you for free things. More times than not, we have spent the first maybe 2 years of our emerging artist career giving things for free, giving things at a discount, giving things at a price we know is just not aligned with how much we spent on materials or how much, how long it takes. And a lot of that is like a trial and error thing, right? When you're starting to get into the arts business side of things, sometimes you don't know how long something's going to take. Sometimes you don't know how much the equipment or the paint or the supplies in general are going to cost. But I want you to think back to the first couple of times that you either made a sale, maybe it's to a family member, because those are usually our first sales, right? Those are usually where our support sales come from. And whether they asked you for a discount or you just gave it to them because you assumed that they wanted it. And I've done that, of course, but I've also happily done things for free. And I don't think that anyone is exempt from starting off their career and not doing anything for free. I can't tell you how many times I probably babysat for free when I was younger, just to kind of see if I liked it, to see if I could gain a reputation and some kind of rapport with different families. I can't tell you how many times I did favors for friends on DIY projects. I can't tell you how many times I gave away artwork, but I was happy to do so. When you do that, over time, millions of artists are doing this at the same sort of pace for decades, for centuries. We're bartering. We're making ourselves available to do those things. That type of culture starts with us. And we need to reprogram what that looks like when it comes to not just being an artist or a hobbyist, but when it becomes a situation where you are relying on your income as an artist to pay your rent, to pay your bills, to pay your lifestyle. And sometimes it comes as a shock to people. Sometimes when you raise your price, it comes as a shock to people. But when we consistently do it as a community, it no longer becomes a question of whether artists should do things for free or not. You get to decide on whether you want to do things for free. But at what point do we take accountability for making this okay? Obviously, my stance on this is that post, artists should never do anything for free, is bullshit. I don't care what fucking coach you have. I don't care what consultant you're talking to. I don't even care if your friends are telling you, you should be getting paid for this. This is too cheap. 99% of the time, the people who are giving you the most unsolicited advice aren't even anywhere close to the research or the data or the expertise that it takes to give you informed advice in the art world. So I just want you to take that into account, right? A friend who has never made a piece of artwork and never sold anything or is not in the art industry, that advice is usually just kind of pulled out of their assholes. Keep that in mind. Everyone starts at the bottom of the totem pole. You don't just walk into an office and all of a sudden you're getting paid 6 figures. You have your own office, not a cubicle. You are the shit in the office. Everyone's looking up to you. Like, that doesn't exist. Maybe if you're a Nepo baby, right? If you're still skilled and talented, it's fine. But everyone has to start somewhere. And whether it's you're posting stickers, around New York City, that's still taking time to do things for free. So we've got to think of even the micro habits that we do ourselves that put us in those, compromising positions. Sometimes they're compromising. Sometimes you have to have those difficult conversations like, no, I'm not going to do this shit for free. And sometimes you have to inquire, hey, do you have a budget? Hey, and kind of come forth with a level of professionalism that oftentimes artists do not come forth with. That's another episode, right? The level of professionalism you need to get paid is very different than when someone approaches you for free work, right? What energy have you walked into the space with? Have you shown up with a contract? Have you shown up with a proposal and your shit together and, your T's crossed and your I's dotted? That's going to really give off different impressions based on how people receive you in just a conversation. The other thing is, when I do things comped, I do them from a place of insane gratitude. whether it's for a special cause, whether it's for a friend or a family member, whether it's a passion project. Maybe I just love, for instance, many of you know that I foster dogs, and a lot of people are like, shit, they don't pay you for that. No, it's extremely challenging work. It's very time consuming. It's emotionally draining. It's physically draining. But it is such a deep rooted passion of mine to rescue dogs from neglect and abusive situations that it wouldn't even occur to me to ask for money. I would love an award of some sort, but it would never cross my mind, even my first dog, right? These passion projects that just come from a deep rooted sense of purpose are totally different than feeling resentful that you did something for free afterwards, right? Maybe it's a community-led project, but it really needs to be aligned with your future. And it has to have a shit ton of boundaries. You have to have all the expectations in line with you and the collaborator. Maybe it's a self-started initiative. I walked into my sort of Cheers bar the other day and I noticed it's been pissing me off that there are no hooks left underneath the bar. I don't work there. I don't get paid to DIY the space, but I knew that I had hooks at home and I'm going to go and have a drink and put some hooks in. So, I know that these aren't and sculptures that you've spent years on, but there's still acts of just personal acts of joy, things that make me feel alive, things that make me feel aligned with my own life goals. And part of that is to help spread the love and all that good stuff. That does not eat into my rent though. That does not make me feel resentful. And one of the reasons that people oftentimes will lowball you or don't want to pay is because one, which I had mentioned before, you're not showing up with the utmost professionalism. So it's hard to trust and believe that you mean business. But also we have the responsibility to change the way that people perceive artists in business from just being a hobbyist, because those are two very separate things. Being an artist and business coach is something that I rely on for my livelihood. So when someone when someone approaches me or when someone messages me, I would say 9 times out of 10, they know that I'm going to be offering them a service that's going to cost money, that's going to potentially change the trajectory of their lives forever. And that's the shit that I stand on. That's the business that I stand on. I say that with my full chest. So if you're not coming forth with that sort of energy and that attitude, it's going to be hard to take you seriously. And I think for years, artists have not always taken themselves seriously. And it's not only us, right? It's society that's kind of, pushed that on us as well. It's the perception that artists can't make it. It's the whole generational thing. And I want to say that this artist mindset has had such a traumatic history that us now in 2025 trying to reprogram that to take the art industry, seriously, not just because you're in a gallery, not just because you have a private studio where people come and collectors are, up your ass and you're just selling out of your studio even before you've made the paintings. I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about emerging artists, practicing artists, and professional artists who have been doing this for 10 plus years. And in any capacity that you are running your business, it's still legitimate if in fact you are running a business. So, to kind of close this out, there's 2 parts to this. I don't think anyone's exempt from doing free work, especially in the beginning. And if it aligns with your future goals, if it's something that's going to majorly contribute to moving the needle, if it's something that is going to breathe happiness into your week, into your life, if it's something you feel really fucking proud of that you can stand behind, that's a great green flag. If it's something that you're already offended by, if it's something that you're feeling really uncomfortable about having that conversation, well, first off, you got to get some more balls and you have to have difficult conversations, negotiating contracts. Those things need to become a norm in order for people to take you seriously. They should no longer be a point of contention or a point of anxiety. Yeah, they're not always easy conversations, but they have to start to become regular conversations. Business is business, whether you're talking to a friend or a fellow artist. And, if it's a project you're going to resent later, if you're thinking like, damn, I should have gotten paid for that, and you're like, fuck, I fucked myself over. Those are the red flags you need to look for. If someone's pushing you to do something that you are not skilled in, if someone hasn't looked you up, if someone is just like not interested in promoting it afterwards. I've had many of those things happen to me. There's a level of respect and mutual understanding that has to go into this kind of like partnership of doing anything for free. It takes, you gotta weigh out your egos, and you gotta really think like, okay, if I do a mural at Industry City and maybe they, want to do a barter, which I have a friend who has gotten an incredible studio at Industry City for free. And he is a master muralist. And like, he's just got such a beautiful setup. That is a beautiful partnership right there. And not to say that he doesn't get paid for any of it. I'm sure he does. But there's always different ways of handling business with the utmost respect for your practice. And I really wanted to just get that out there, because a lot of times it's so easy for us to just fucking point the blame at, oh, how could they not take me seriously? And how could they assume that I'm going to do everything for free? Well, there's a lot of people who still do things for free, which then gives other people the impression you will too. So my final thought about this is that as a community, we need to kind of figure out like where we stand. What kind of shit are we willing to take, and what kind of shit is just like non-negotiable? And you're able to make those choices because you're the fucking boss and you run your own business. So I hope that this resonated. I'm really looking for some feedback on this. I'm really curious to know whether you've had some great experiences and you felt really good about doing a project for free, whether it's moved your business in the right direction and contributed in a really pivotal way, or maybe you had like a shitty experience like we all have. So feel free to add to the comments below. Feel free to DM me. I wonder how this episode landed with you. If you are at all interested in working with an artist and business coach, I'm your girl. Hit the link in my bio. All of the links and all of the information will be in the notes below the episode. And stay tuned for another episode of Terry Talks. Peace out. Thanks for listening to another unfiltered episode of Terry Talks. I've also got some free resources on my website that'll help make your life a lot easier as an artist in business. You can also check out my services or apply to work together. Before you go, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and sign up for my newsletter for more art industry information. See you on the gram.